Um, Happy Veterans Day to all you veterans out there. And I realize, of course, today is the 12th. So technically, it's not Veterans Day. This is the day we're observing. It's a Monday. But yesterday, the 11th, was actually Veterans Day. And as most veterans know, it originally started with, or what it's commemorating is the end of hostilities in World War I. And it was originally called Armistice Day, and that was in 1918. But it always makes me think on Veterans Day of special veterans in my life. Of course, my father was a veteran, and his brother Ed was a veteran, so Dale Mace is my dad's name. And then my Uncle Bob Palmer, who I left out last year, and I'm really sorry about that. But his son David was also a veteran, and he was killed in action in Vietnam. And then I also had a great Uncle Calvin, who is my grandfather's, Grandpa Weber's brother, who died, I believe it was in Okinawa, but I could be wrong about that. But he received the Silver Star posthumously, or after death, because he died in action saving his platoon. So I've got this kind of long line of people in my family who have served in the armed forces. And of course, my two special ones in my life now are my daughter Vanessa Ann and her husband Christopher Schwartz, who recently got married in St. Louis, and I was there for the wedding. It was fantastic. And they had all their Army friends there, and they were both in the Army. And then we have some special veterans also that friends, people we know. Darlene Perry is one, and Gary Doble, who's in the Marines. And then, of course, Andre Lasanco, that's Lydia's husband, who was in the Army. And I'm sure there's some people I left out, so I apologize if you give me your names. I will honor you next year for sure. But I made some notes here. So all the people in my family that served, thinking back on that, I was from the Vietnam era, and at that time we had a thing called the draft. And for those of you who were there, I don't need to explain it. For those younger ones, the draft means basically they were drafting men into the service, young men into the service. As soon as you turned 18, you got your draft card. And your draft card says you were either eligible for service or you were not. Well, I was eligible, and they had what was called a draft lottery. And people today are like, what? Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. They actually had 365 names, I guess, or letters. I can't remember exactly how it worked. But if your name was on the day they picked that, they started picking one at a time. And then if your name was on that day, you got called. Somebody I did leave out, and I've left out before, is my cousin Chuck and Charles Cass. He joined the Air Force at that time. We either joined something, or a lot of people were leaving and moving to Canada. If you can imagine, my mother said, if you get drafted, I want you to go to Canada. And my dad, of course, who was in the Army, said, no son of mine's going to Canada. Anyway, it was a big upset in our household. But as it turned out, I had a really, really high draft lottery number. My number was 363 out of 365 or something like that. So they stopped the draft lottery about halfway through the year, but there were a lot of people who were called, a lot of them unfortunately were killed. My cousin Charles was actually, I think his draft lottery was number 4 or something, so he knew he was going to get called for sure. So he joined the Air Force, and he served as well and spent his time. So happy Veterans Day to you, Charles or Chuck. Okay, so I just wanted to honor our veterans today and to let you know that you are not forgotten. Okay, have a good day.